Look at these dancing moves here. North Carolina Tar Heels ready to get rolling against the Michigan Wolverines.
Get it, Theo. Get it, Theo.
15 minutes from now.
That's the way Jay Will is before every show.
He's like that in the Zumba class. I think that's what he's telling us for.
First off, I do not take Zumba classes, okay? And secondly, I'm at the club if I'm doing that, the VIP, all right?
Well said. And with that, we say welcome, Jay Williams, Coach Seth Greenberg, Ahmad
Zumba.
Namberg. Good to have you with us. Michigan, North Carolina is coming up shortly. Of course, before we get to all the basketball, there's nothing more important than Jim Valvano and Jimmy V Week. We're all proud to be a part of that action here at ESPN. And, Coach, you knew Coach Valvano. Tell us, I know there's so many anecdotes and so many great stories about him. Tell him one story specific to yourself.
Jimmy Valvano grew up in Seaford, Long Island. I grew up in Plainville, which is one town over. So we knew the Valvanos pretty well. His dad actually reffed our games, gave me a couple tees. That's another story.
You don't hold that against him at all.
No, not at all.
Okay.
But when I got let go at Pitt, the first call I got was from Jimmy Valvano. He said, look, next week I'm going to be in New York. I want to sit down and talk with you. And we met, and he said, look, if nothing happens, I want you to come and be an assistant coach with me. Said, look, you're too good to be leaving this profession. I want you with me. You always have a spot with me. And that was typical of Jim Valvano. You think about in his darkest days, walking up on that stage to accept that ESPY. He wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about others. He was thinking about making a difference to the next generation, to his daughter. He was talking about finding a cure then. And if you think about what the V Foundation does, it was typical of what Jim was, selfless. Because every single dollar raised by the V Foundation goes to cancer research. And to me, that's the difference between the V Foundation and any other foundation.
There are just some people, and I never had the chance of meeting Jimmy V, but there's some people you come across in life that just have that je ne sais quoi, right? They have that something amazing about them. And every story I hear, and even like the relaxing stories, like not the behind-the-scenes stories. He was a guy's guy. He was a guy that you wanted to be around. He was a guy you wanted to play for. And look, we sometimes get into the minutia of coaching and we're breaking down plays and, you know, we're defining you by championships. But the impact that he made in people's lives, like that's what coaching, the bigger game, is about. And Jimmy V is one of the best of all time at that.
Well said, gentlemen. JimmyV.org to donate, of course, for a very worthy cause. Let's show you the college basketball slate tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. Jimmy V would have loved these games, right? Clemson at Ohio State right now, actually, on ESPN2. And coming up right here on ESPN, Michigan at North Carolina. Also, Miami at Minnesota. That's on ESPN2 at 9:15. And then Duke at Indiana, 9:30 Eastern. Two-story programs going head-to-head. Let's talk first about Michigan and North Carolina. Seth and I were in studio on Sunday, and North Carolina could not shoot, Jay Will. 24.6% from the field. But what is it about their guard play that sticks out to you?
Well, it was Michigan State's defense as well, pressing them, contesting all their shots. And when's the last time we talked about North Carolina having 45 points in a ball game?
Yeah.
Shooting 25% from the field and shooting 0.05% from the three-point line. You heard me correctly, 0.05. Never. Ever. So when you think about North Carolina, yes, their front court is talented, they're young. Everything starts with their guards. Joel Berry, Kenny Williams has been playing well as of late before this game. Theo Pinson, who played decently in this game. But when you have Kenny Williams and then you have Joel Berry, that combined for a total of 3 of 18 from the field, that's not going to get it done on a high level. And look, this is a North Carolina team that's going to play with vengeance coming off a loss the way they competed against Michigan State. And they have to keep Michigan out of transition. And it's going to be a track meet and stop Michigan from shooting the ball from the
I was impressed with their defense, though. I thought, turning Michigan State over 24 times.
I agree, that was good.
They struggled offensively, but they continued to guard.
Key stretch right now for Michigan, Coach. Their next 5 games all against major conference teams. How about their front court and their play away from the hoop?
Well, the one thing about Michigan is they're going to make you guard every inch of the floor. And what they do is they invert their offense a lot of times and bring their bigs away from the basket. When you think about the young North Carolina front court, they're going to have to guard all on the floor. 43% of their shots come from the three-point line, and a lot of those are from Mo Wagner, their center, and Duncan Robinson. They're 4 or 3-man. Robinson averages 6 threes a game. Wagner averages 4. And what they do is they play through their bigs. And they especially play through their bigs now because their point guard play isn't what it was. Derek Walton, a 4-year starter. All right? He initiated offense. He could make plays. He could score it. He could defend at the point of attack. Right now, they've got 3 young point guards. And when you run that Michigan offense, right, it is a rhythm offense, and it runs through your point guards in terms of initiating it. They haven't gotten point guard play. But if Michigan's going to win this game, those bigs of Michigan are going to pull those bigs of North Carolina away from the basket, stretch the court, and then give guys like Charles Matthews a chance to drive it, make plays. So that'll be interesting to watch how Carolina defends the bigs of Michigan.
And then Theo Pinson probably guarding Charles Matthews. That's going to be a big-time matchup.
I think they're going to go small. I think Carolina's going to go small and put Theo Pinson at the 4 to guard Duncan Robinson. How about that one?
It's a little forecasting.
Yeah, a little forecasting. Look to the future.
Yeah, we like to look to the future. We also like to look to the past as well. And let's flash you back. Chris Webber, that's right. The anniversary, April 5th, 1993. Michigan, North Carolina. First time they played since this infamous moment for the Wolverines fans as C. Webb calls timeout. Look at the bench, by the way. There's a behind the bench calling timeout. There it is. We broke down the film there, and you see the reactions we've seen it a million times here from Chris Webber and the rest of his teammates. Stunned because all of us remember, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And Seth Greenberg, you were there.
I was actually at that game. That's when the coaches actually got good seats. So we're like right on the sideline, lower bowl. I mean, I was
Those were the days.
I was right in line. Now we're up in the rafters.
Tell everybody your exact reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I can't say that. I have to stay on point.
Verbatim. Jay Will's right.
But, I mean, you're looking at it, and you know they have no timeouts. Like, I mean, it's right on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And it's, look, the X's and O's are Janes and Joes. I mean, and this is a human reaction, and it's unfortunate because Chris Webber's career surely shouldn't be defined by that timeout. But in that moment, on that stage, yikes.
You know, look, the last time I played a collegiate game, we were playing against Indiana, and we were down by 4. Daniel Ewing took a shot from the right side. The ball bounced off the rim. It came to me at the top of the key. I jumped in. I joke with Dane Pfeiffer about this all the time, assistant coach of Michigan State. Jump into him. The ball goes in. I go to the free throw line, get fouled. I missed the free throw. Carlos Boozer missed the putback. We lose the game. And I think sometimes when people come up to you and they talk to you, college basketball fans, they always go to those defining moments.
Yes.
And we go to that defining moment for C. Webb, but I think people have forgot how bad of a dude C. Webb was in the league. When he played with White Chocolate, the other Jason Williams, which was one of the baddest ones ever to play the game, like C. Webb put up, I mean, Hall of Fame type numbers. And I just hate that sometimes we go back to these type moments.
I don't define you on that missed free throw, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
I have a lot of other bad stuff for you to define our relationship with.
Speaking of bad memories to get rid of here, never was Jay Will's fault. We're counting down to Michigan taking on North Carolina. Joel Berry, you heard Jay Will talk about his value and importance to North Carolina. 8.5 away from seeing him and the Tar Heels take on the Wolverines. All right, we are counting down to Michigan and North Carolina. Mo Wagner, you see the numbers against UC Riverside, 21-10 on Sunday. See what he can do against the Tar Heels tonight.
UC Riverside.
Yes.
No offense, UC Riverside. But
No offense. Exactly. Just putting it in perspective here.
Yes.
Mo makes buckets.
He does do that. I give him that.
Mo's going to bring it. We're also looking ahead to Miami taking on Minnesota. That's 9:15 Eastern on ESPN2. Jordan Murphy's obviously a beast from Minnesota, but the front court, I know you're going to talk to in a second. How about the front courts overall in the country?
Yeah, Seth and I came up with our top 5 front courts, and this is in no particular order to people at home because you guys love to debate over this stuff.
Yeah.
We have Duke, USC, Michigan State, Texas A&M, and Minnesota's in that list. And it starts with Jordan Murphy. Jordan Murphy needs to be in the conversation for National Player of the Year. The kid is shooting absurd numbers from the field. He's averaging 22 points, 13 rebounds. He's 3-time Big Ten Player of the Week. You combine him with Reggie Lynch, who gobbles up rebounds, and then Amir Coffey at 6'8", who's very energetic. This is one of the top front courts in the nation.
I'll take your Minnesota front court, and I'll raise you my Miami backcourt. For Miami to win this game, Bruce Brown's got to come up big. Here's a big physical guard who can shoot the 3, get in the lane, plays the contact, and a willing passer. And then his backcourt mate, Jaquan Newton. I call him a Philly guard. What do Philly guards do?
Nice.
Philly guards can come off ball screens, make the right decision. They get to the rack and finish. They can shoot the 3, and then make other guys better. Having said that, these guys have got to start playing like difference makers. They want to win this game. Vasilovich, he's got to make shots. Bruce Brown, he's got to be more aggressive. He's really struggling shooting the basketball. He's got to let the game come to him, but he's got to be a difference maker by making plays and scoring the ball. And then Lonnie Walker, the McDonald's All-American, as a freshman on this stage, he could be a difference maker in this game because he's big, he's physical. He can help them rebound, which is so important. And he could also end up being matched up with Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey, to me, is one of the X factors for that Minnesota front court because he can rebound the ball. He's a terrific defender. He's a great offensive rebounder.
Let me ask you a question from the coaching perspective, because I know my sophomore year was a little bit of a challenge. When you have, and I'm talking about Bruce Brown, I'm not saying that he's actually doing this, but when you start living with the pressure where people are talking about you potentially being a lottery pick, it's difficult to stay within the confines of what the team is doing because you start to press a little bit about if your numbers aren't what the numbers people project them to be to fit into that lottery
pick. Jay,
scenario,
well, that's a great point. That's like back in the day, it was when you're going into your senior year, and you have the pressure of the last time you're going to walk through that door and you want to make a good last impression and what are you going to do after you graduate? But now, for a lottery-type pick, your sophomore year becomes your senior year.
Yeah.
And there is pressure because you're under the microscope, and the NBA guys are rolling in for every single game. And right now, he's struggling with it. That pressure could be hurting him.
That game, of course, coming up 9:15 Eastern on ESPN2. Miami's lost the last 3 games, which both those teams are ranked. We're also looking ahead to Duke and Indiana. What's it like for the Hoosiers? A new coach now taking over, trying to insert his own personality.
Every coach has to coach within their own personality and their own system. And look, there's a lot of different ways to win in the game of basketball. But when I look at Archie Miller, his system's very much different than Tom Crean's. Archie Miller, very, very into defining roles, real tight roles. And then defensively, let's put it this way. The simplest way, Archie Miller's team's going to look more like Bob Knight's Indiana teams than Tom Crean's Indiana teams.
I'm sure IU fans are going to love that.
Tom Crean won a lot of games.
Tom Crean was one heck of a coach.
Yeah.
Just a different scenario.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting, too, to watch how Indiana, who isn't a great three-point shooting team, they only shoot around 35%, play against Duke if Duke decides to go zone. And the one thing you have to do against Duke, you have to keep them off the offensive glass. #1 offensive rebounding team in the nation.
Look forward to that tonight. Michigan, North Carolina. First meeting since 1993. Enjoy the game. We'll see you at the half.
It's Fee Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
Welcome to the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and welcome to Chapel Hill. The Dean Dome is rocking. 2 basketball blue bloods square off for the first time.